o'clock in the afternoon?
Not if you're talking about a diuretic or some cardiovascular meds. You can't. You've got to give them first thing in the morning.
But I think maybe not all of them. You have to give first in the morning.
Doesn't matter.
Well, I think we have to look into it. And
We have to look
talk
at that
the
contract
nursing home.
again, see if it's a requirement that we have to have a nurse there to call them in, and check the hours or the days of the month, once a month, once a week type thing in the contract. Damon?
Are the two doctors, do they have a business that's called something in the
Yes,
contract?
it's American Institutional Medical Group, LLC.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we need to change the contract. Check into that nurse that we have to have in order to call them in, I think, according to the contract. Yes, go ahead.
So is it my understanding that we're replacing one person with now gonna be 3 people?
No,
No. Question two.
no. We're replacing one person, and this company comes with 2.
With 2, but we still now have to go out and find another nurse practitioner?
No. No. It says that they're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This duty may be shared upon approval of the facility with a nurse practitioner or acceptable alternative, which means if one of these 2 guys or both of these guys take a vacation or are not available, that they could contract with a nurse practitioner to cover their services when they're not available.
But what's the part that someone has to make an assessment first before these people can be called?
What they're requesting is that they're, in order for them to be called, they get more information from somebody that's qualified to make an assessment as opposed to my staff who is trained in nothing more than first aid. So if you have an inmate that presents with chest pain, there are certain questions that a nurse can ask and draw information out and report that to the doctors so they can make an informed decision whether to transfer this inmate out to the hospital or not. The corrections staff doesn't have that training that's required.
Right, but you have one person leaving now. That one person is being replaced by these 2 people. But before these 2 people are called in, someone as in that has more knowledge than your staff does has to go in and make an assessment. So you have the person going in first, making the assessment, and you have these 2 individuals. So we're replacing one person with 3 people.
I think what it is, these 2 people, the doctor and the physician, the doctor comes only once a month and the physician once a week. So for all the other time, they are on call. They are not physically there.
Well,
that's why we need somebody else.
I understand that, but my question still remains. Are we replacing the one person who is leaving now with 3 people?
No.
No.
I think perhaps it should be explained that there was a doctor in the facility and he's no longer there, so that's what the doctor is taking?
Right. The nurse practitioner that we have right now is moving on. They're no longer going to be employed.
Right.
In order for me to fill that position, these 2 people approached me and asked me if we would look at them to come in and provide services.
Right.
One of the requirements that they have is that in order for them to get called at 2 o'clock in the morning, they would get much more information from talking to a nurse than a corrections officer.
Yeah.
That's so.
I
when you
understand.
So the question is, do we have that nurse? Will we have that nurse?
I have 2 nurses,
You have to.
and then, but they go home at 7 o'clock at
7,
night.
yeah.
So if we were to put one of them on call and have them respond to the facility in the event of a medical emergency, it's going to have some sort of budgetary impact.
Yeah.
You know.
But if she's coming in, because she already works like 12 hours or not, from 7 to 7, then she's on call again and have to come in again.
Right, so
Yeah.
once,
Yeah,
once
so
they
you
go
don't
home.
even know if she's
So it's
able to
overtime
do
when they
that.
come back.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
I think a question needs to be asked now. How many medical emergencies in the past month have you had from 1903 to 00?
I can go back and look at it. I can just go over my
Yeah.
minutes.
You know, when are the most complaints? Is it after 7 at night?
That's
Yeah.
the same
Yeah, that's what I just
question.
asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
And I
the
can go back
nurses
and look.
leave, do, you know, 4 of them line up and say, you know, I'm having a cardiac event.
Right. And I'd still advocate for having proper medical coverage in that facility. And it's just, I mean, this is what you don't have right now.
Now, keep in mind that these two doctors,
One's a
One
PA.
is-
one that comes in once a month and the other one that comes in once a week, are supposed to look at the medications and reduce the cost of the medications to help make up for their costs. Right now, our medications are going out of the
Roof.
realm of what we have a budget for.
Well, that's why I was, you know, I first suggested maybe changing the hours, because just as was said, they have more situations after 7
Yeah.
o'clock at night.
Yeah. His problem is.
I
he
understand
has
his
to give
medication
medications.
problem in the morning, but, you know,
Yeah.
maybe could we, one of these, you said you have 2 nurses?
Mhm.
Could maybe one of the two nurses come in the morning, dispense the medication, so then you could maneuver the 12-hour period to a later time?
Just so I understand you correctly, you'd have them come in, then you'd have them go home and then come back later in the day?
No, you said okay. When do these 2 nurses know, do they have set hours? Is that,
7 to 7.
oh, okay,
Mhm.
they're one and the same, all right. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But you need both of them 7 to 7, so you cannot have one nurse 7 to 7 and then the other one.
12 to
Come in.
12.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, wait a minute. Are you saying that we have 2 nurses on at the same time?
No. Nope.
Okay.
Because they're 12-hour shifts and you don't want them to, you can't do 5 days of 12 hours, you have to alternate them. Like 2 12s, a day off, 3 12s, 2 days off.
Mhm.
And then we have weekends, and we have vacations,
Mhm.
we have sick time.
Right.
Okay. All right. Yes,
I just want to see if I understand this. So you had a doctor, and you have a nurse practitioner that's leaving.
I didn't have a doctor.
You didn't have a doctor.
Correct.
Okay. And I thought Dorothy just said.
That was my question, whether you had a.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a statement.
No.
Okay. But you have a nurse practitioner that's leaving. This company is going to come in, sort of do the function of the nurse practitioner.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
all right.
How many days was the nurse practitioner here?
1 day a week.
1 day a week.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. You know what you need to do?
Yes.
Ed, you got a question? Go ahead.
Hey Jason, I just wanted to know when an inmate comes to you, are they evaluated for mental health before they're put into the general population, or are you just receiving them and putting them in? Are they evaluated at all?
They're screened. We have some screenings that we do, yes.
Who does the screenings?
Correction staff.
Okay, so no mental health professional makes those assessments?
If we do a suicide assessment, and if it triggers a high suicide score, then that's a flag, and we have Northern Human Services come in and do a screening.
Through your observation and your staff's observation, do you feel it's possible that people with severe mental illnesses are actually getting into the population of the jail? Slipping through the screening process, is that possible, would you think, in your opinion?
Anything's possible. If you answer the questions right, I suppose you can
Manipulate.
the system, and that's what they do. They manipulate. Yep.
Thank you.
Somebody, yes, Mr. Mayor.
Just a quick breakdown for this gentleman. Through 2011, I guess through August, ambulance service 3,000, dental service 5,000, diagnostic services, 6,000, hospital services, 24,000, in-doctor, 6,000, meds, 41,000,
Oh,
out-doctor, 6,000, and supplies, a little less than 1,000. This is from Jason. It's a pretty comprehensive breakdown of what we're paying for medical expenses now. And hopefully these two gentlemen, their pitch that I get out of it was their real savings is going to be on fewer trips to the hospital and reduction of pharmaceutical, the cost of pharmaceuticals.
Well, if I may, in response to that, do we have, how long of a period is that for?
I would guess, Jason could probably tell you better, but I think it's probably through the 31st of July.
So
You gave us the information, Jason.
well, but I mean, is it a year, or is it 6 months?
No, from the 1st of this year till the 31st of July, 7 months.
Okay, 7 months. And do we have any more information going back to previous years on that? Because I'm thinking that if we're spending, are we spending that kind of money on taking, for the hospital end of it was 24,000?
That's a cheap year.
That's a cheap year?
yeah.
Here.
So, let me go back to, if that's a cheap year, would it be feasible and less expensive for the county to maybe hire someone to come in for the morning and dispense the meds, and then we could move the 12-hour period, and we might save a lot of money on unwarranted hospital runs?
Well, I don't know, because if a patient has to go to the hospital, they have to go to the hospital.
Well, I'm not saying if they have to go, but I mean, is there a lot of time, because someone says, I don't feel good, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, that automatically necessitates a run to the hospital? I don't know.
Well, in defense of the county, I would rather pay a $2,000 or $3,000 hospital bill than a multi-million-dollar lawsuit for failure.
I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, I mean, if someone at 3 o'clock in the morning, someone says, I don't feel good, does that automatically trigger a trip to the hospital?
Depends on what their complaint is. If they say that I'm suffering from chest pain, absolutely.
Well, what?
Yeah.
How many, could you put an estimate on maybe how many trips, maybe really, when they get to the hospital, there's nothing wrong with you. Is there a good portion of those that happen? I mean, someone wants to get out of the jail. They'd rather be in the hospital than the jail at 3 o'clock in the morning. Do you have any idea, are there any a number of unwarranted trips that are triggered just because someone says, and we don't have someone there at that hour of the night?
I don't receive the discharge reports from the hospital, so I have to go back and look at every inmate that we sent. I mean, they do tests, and whether I can say that it is not warranted or not, and I don't know as if I could make that determination.
I mean, just to me, to say that you can't move the hours because of dispensing medication, and we're spending this kind of money on hospital runs. I think there might be, look at it, could we just hire a part-time person to come in the morning, dispense the med, and move these hours when, like you've already said, you have more situations from 7 at night till 7 in the morning than you do from 7 in the morning to 7 at night.
Yeah, I don't think you've said that yet.
Well, no, I did not say that, because I haven't, the question was asked whether how many inmates we send out after the 7 o'clock hour.
I believe you did say that there are more situations after 7 o'clock at night.
No,
Yes, I believe.
I didn't get that. I think I asked that. How many patients, that come at 1905 to 0.
And the answer was yes, there are.
I don't think I can answer that. I'd have to look at that.
Well, I think we're talking about things that we need to look at more detail and look at some of the reports as to whether we do send them out or out after 7.
Yep.
In general, maybe we could say that, but maybe it's